Yo, what's up? We're doing this again. Let's go. So I'm gonna try to make a little bit more progress today. I'm gonna try to get to what is it, Rustboro? Yeah, Rustboro City, and maybe fight the gym leader. We'll see. We'll see. But today is gonna be a lot more. I don't know, I feel like I was really depressing last time. I was just talking about like I don't know. It was like what was on my mind, but I guess whatever was on my mind was kind of on the sadder side of things, and I don't really like being sad, believe it or not. So maybe I'm just gonna dial it back and talk about more happy things, like yeah. Okay, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna talk about whatever. So I've been doing a lot of schoolwork recently, and I've recently been like getting into like a kind of like a schedule, I guess. I do some work every about an hour a day, a little bit before I go to bed. And first of all, I think having a schedule and having like structure in life is like so invaluable. Like, I mean, it only works, of course, if you stick to it, but um, when it works, it really works. I mean, um, building habits is like a hard thing to do, but it shouldn't be understated just how much they can really change your life. Not to say that doing schoolwork has like made me get a job or it's not like I have straight A's all of a sudden because I don't and I never have, but it at least makes me feel more secure about um, my life because I used to feel like I'm wasting my life, or not really like wasting my life, but I feel like I could have been doing better things, or um, just that what I'm doing just isn't enough. But with getting the hard stuff out of the way and then going on to play video games or drawing or just having recreational time, it's just it feels a lot more earned. It feels more enjoyable when you get the hard stuff out of the way, which in this case for me is schoolwork and kind of self-care stuff. Um, and so I've been doing a little bit of that stuff recently, and putting aside YouTube or whatever and stuff that distracts me. Um, and it's great. I wish I could do it more, but it does take a lot of self-control, um, which can easily be broken and forgotten about. And with the school I go to, I don't even call it a school. It's just a building where I go to turn in work. That's all I see it as. Um, but there's like two like divisions. Like I'm in the independent study division or whatever. Which is where they give me a computer and I go home and then work, which is extremely lame, and I don't think that's how a school should operate. But hey, I'm not complaining. Actually, I did just complain. But anyway, the other division is like for um, kind of I don't know the right word. I guess delinquents. That feels mean. So I'm sorry, but um, it's kind of for kids who don't do their work and kind of just they get a bad rap and stuff. And it kind of like I don't know what I'm doing there. It feels like I shouldn't be there because I'm not a bad student. I used to be. I remember when I was younger, I would freaking act out all the time, man. But ever since becoming a teenager, I was like, okay, maybe I should just shut up and be a good person. Um, and I hate saying that I'm better than these kids at this school because I really don't think I'm I think everyone is equal, in a certain sense. But I do think, places like those where it's kind of for the people who kind of don't have a good place in life, and um, they're just kind of wandering around with um, nothing to do, or they don't know what to do moving forward. I think those places, as kind of sad as they can be sometimes, um, I think they do really help people just kind of find what they want to do in life, and um, maybe even change their outlook on things, because a lot of the people at the school are kind of they're in gangs or whatnot. I don't know too much because I don't really interact with them because I'm not really allowed to. And I wouldn't anyway because social anxiety. But I really hope they're doing all right. Um, and I feel like people like that. I think they deserve more chances in life. I wouldn't say like you know they deserve a million chances, because people do bad things all the time, um, and they end up getting away with it. I think accountability is incredibly important when it comes to anything, but I think people can should kind of let go of their previous understanding of people, especially if it's negative. And just kind of start over. I mean, so many people carry grudges nowadays, and it sucks. And because it just makes the world a more hateful place. Um, because in reality, someone could be, the nicest person in the world, but if they have a rough exterior, or they did one bad thing, that could really, change someone's outlook on you. And I've always believed in second chances. So I myself have done kind of questionable things as a as a young little guy, but I've since changed a lot of those ways, and I can't help but wonder, the people who I used to, be around, would they look at me differently now? And truly, I'll never know, because um, I'm not around those people anymore. But um, I do think, people should just forgive. I think that's incredibly powerful to do, an incredibly powerful thing to do, and um, it's mature. I think it's just a great thing to do, and I wish it happened more. I really do. So yeah, if there's someone you want to forgive, go do it right now, because it'll make you feel better and it'll make them feel better. I don't know why I just thought of this, but I remember when I was younger, um, my dad had a fireplace, and sometimes we would, sit around it and light it up, especially around winter and Christmas. But sometimes we would play games. He got me into poker a little bit. I don't play it too much anymore because I don't have cards. That's why. Um, but I kind of miss, and this is gonna be kind of weird, but I do miss being able to be around my family. I, of course I still am around them in some sense, but things have changed, and people have gotten older. Circumstances have changed. Um, but I still wonder at the end of the day, is all that over? And to a certain extent, it's not over, but um, I guess just those days, they're only memories now, which I think is okay. I don't think, chasing that stuff can kind of be a bad thing in my eyes. Um, but going forward, you know, I think spending time with family is crucial in life, and for those who don't have a supportive and good family, I feel so like I feel you, you know. I I don't have a good side of one of my family, and um, my dad's side of the family wasn't very supportive of me. Um, and, that's kind of an understatement, but like I know what it's like to kind of be left. I don't I don't want to say abandoned, but maybe something less harsh than that. Um, but spending time with family is like I said, crucial, and it's just some people don't have any good members of their family, and that is so awful to hear, man. Um, and that's what it leads to, a lot of loneliness and despair in a lot of folk. Like I can't imagine entering adulthood and not having a family to you know pick you up from the sad times and I guess the ashes. um, and so I really feel for the people who don't have that. And it's okay. It's not. I wouldn't say it's anybody's fault other than the people who treat you that way. So if you don't have that, don't take it. Don't feel like it's your fault, because I personally don't think it is. Not that my opinion should really matter, but I support you no matter what. So yeah. And I think another thing I want to talk about is kind of accepting yourself. I've struggled with that for a long time. Like, I guess a better way to put it is like being comfortable in your own skin. And I know a lot of people my age deal with that, of like feeling like you don't belong, or what's the term? Like I don't want to butcher it, but it's where you don't feel where you don't feel comfortable in your own skin, um, where you feel like your body isn't the right way, things like that, um, and to a certain extent, if you're dangerously skinny, or if you're dangerously overweight, then maybe you shouldn't be so complacent. But um, for the most part, being okay with yourself leads to like true happiness, and I mean that, like, just not caring. I guess, okay, first of all, it's healthy to care, but you know, not in a way that is obsessive, or and not in a hateful way. Like, don't care because it's a bad thing. Care because you want to better yourself. You know, accepting yourself is such a baller move. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But I really don't think not liking yourself can be a tool for doing better in the future. I mean, I don't condone um, hating yourself, or thinking you're awful, which I don't think anybody is. I think that's unfair to yourself. Um, but a good thing to do would just be, sometimes I look in the mirror and I just say, you know what, Skylar, you're pretty cool. I know that's pretty cringy to say, but that's just kind of what you need to hear sometimes. Um, and I bet you a lot of people haven't heard that in at least a long time. Um, and I know, like, a lot of people struggle with, like, um, hearing compliments, um, which is, in hindsight, is kind of funny, but I shouldn't laugh. Um, but yeah, being afraid of, like, other people and what they might say is such, it'll wear you out, man. It really will. And so accepting yourself and being like, I don't care what people think of me is such a I think it's one of the best things someone can do. Really, I do. Um, of course, if it's healthy, don't. I don't want you to become a, evil mastermind. Like, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm gonna build this death ray. No, don't build your death ray, please, please. God damn it! Is this Cascoon? I don't want a Cascoon. No, no. I wanted Silcoon. Oh, oops. Cool. When I used to go to middle school, this is when I used to be kind of a nuisance. Um, it got to a point where my teachers and my mom, they came up with an agreement to have like a system in place where at the end of each period, the teacher would sign a paper, and it would be based on how well I acted in the class that day. And I had to do that every day, or else my parents would, get upset with me. Um, and it was so awful. I mean, making a 12-year-old do that, it sucks, man. Like, I know just the the solution there, just to shut up and, act right, act like a normal person, and don't, yell in class. I didn't yell in class, but, that's just an example. Um, but doing that made me just hate school even more than I already did, because first of all, it was embarrassing, and I had to like I wasn't acting myself. At the time I was kind of just a guy who liked, blurting things out and talking, and of course it wasn't always appropriate, and I understand that now, but um I don't know. I just liked being around folk, and I don't think there was anything wrong with that. I mean, of course, it's school, and it's not always, you shouldn't be doing everything in class. And sometimes, I would get bad scores by my teachers saying, "Oh, Skylar needs some work," um, which already, that kind of made my self-esteem even worse than it already was. Um, and sometimes I had an art teacher, and she was not a good teacher. Um, I don't know her name. I forgot. And I probably shouldn't say her name anyway. But she was kind of cranky, and I don't know. I don't know what her deal was, but she just kind of lashed out at everybody, and it kind of made everyone just hate that class. Uh, and she would often refuse to sign that little paper that I would have, um, and it would make me get in trouble because I don't know, people don't like listening to a 12-year-old. People, okay, something I hate is like people believing the adult instead of the little kid. Like, kids can be smart, man. Like, they can. I'm not saying that because I'm only 17, but and I swear I'm not biased, but I really think people should listen to their kids more. I mean, I remember when report cards came in, um, and they were supposed to come out like on a certain day, but apparently a lot of the kids got them a few days before, and my dad had heard about that, and he got upset with me because he said, "Well, who should I believe? Should I believe the rest of the world or you, Skylar?" And I'm like, "What? I don't know. And I remember I said, if you don't believe your own kid, then that's just sad." Um, and I don't blame him for not believing me, because like I've been saying, I was kind of unruly and I like to joke around, but I was not lying in that part, or in that moment. And I me being like a jokey kind of person, and finally like telling the truth, and being punished for that, um, that it didn't bode well, and it didn't make me feel very good. So yeah, I've heard a lot of people say um, that they wish they could redo their childhood, or they just wish they could go back, and I guess do things differently, or just relive everything. Um, I personally don't feel that way. I don't think I'm the first person to say that, my childhood wasn't too great. There's only a few select things that I fondly remember. And growing up, I kind of was taught to kind of not trust the world, um, which I don't think is a good thing. I mean, of course, you shouldn't trust everything at face value. I think that's kind of a rule of life, especially nowadays. But just feeling like being so like apathetic towards the world, and I feel like a lot of that comes from how you grew up, and what your mom and dad told you to believe, because when you're young, you don't really form your own opinions until you're like, I don't know, 15. um, it's kind of just, a lot of what your parents or guardians tell you is just kind of ingrained in you. And that's true for a lot of life. And it sticks with you, man. It really does. And I guess my point is, just I and I kind of I said this last time, and I hate seeing people so void of emotion, and I just people giving up. I it sucks. It really sucks. And they say, oh, I can't do anything. I hate the way I was raised, and I hate my parents. Whatever. Um, I don't think that's fair. I mean, well, to a certain extent, it's fair because parents and guardians, they should do whatever they can to make sure their child is okay. And the saying of every child deserves a parent, but not every parent deserves a child. And that was definitely true for my dad, but um, uh, being so being so like controlled by your parents even as you grow up is so um, I don't think it's a good thing. I mean, I know I'm just saying hot take after hot take. Am I? Um, but finding yourself is kind of a hard thing to do. Like I've been trying to do that recently and trying to like break away from my parents, and it's super difficult. I mean, a lot of my childhood was just my mom and dad feeding me dinner every day, and I ended up not learning how to take care of myself and cook because it was kind of just given to me, and I didn't have to work for anything, and it sucks. I don't like it. I wish I did have to work for stuff. Um, and obviously now I have to, but learning it now. I mean, it's better late than never, right? But just geez, man, I things could have been done differently, don't you think? But whatever. I don't want to get too deep, or maybe I should. I don't know, but um, I don't know. Just know that if you're struggling with responsibilities or growing up, like I know what it's like, man. I know what it's like. And that's why I'm playing this children's game, just to make myself feel better. So there you go. Gosh, this soundtrack is so good. This is a random thought, but I remember when I was young, I used to sorta, kinda believe in ghosts, and I would always think that like, oh, there's a ghost in my closet looking at me, like, or and I used to like sleep with like my radio on because it was like soothing. And yes, I was one of those kids who had a night light, and I was scared as hell of the dark, and I still kind of am. Um, but I used to kind of I used to believe in the supernatural a little bit to a sane degree. You know, I wasn't crazy, but yeah, looking back on it, it's so like, oh, what the hell was wrong with me? Um, because now I do not believe ghosts exist. I think that's a little bit silly, but um, whatever. People can believe whatever the hell they want. I feel like I talk a little bit too fast. I hope that's not a problem. I remember my grandmother is what was it? She went to college, uh, and she took a few classes on speech therapy, I believe. And I asked her at one point to help me out with enunciating words and pronouncing stuff. Because I do have kind of a problem where I either talk too fast or um, like kind of the way my teeth are positioned in my mouth that makes certain words hard to pronounce, like vowels and stuff like that. Um, and it turns out that's kind of not something I can fix. At least that's my of my limited research into this topic. That's my conclusion. Um, but yeah, I've always kind of have a hard time speaking. And I remember when I went to school, high school, when I actually went to high school instead of online school. Um, there was for this. I went to like a special charter school for a few years, or it was just 1 year actually. But at the end of the year, we had to do like presentations to pass sophomore year, and it was really lame. Everyone hated it, of course, but I gave it a try, and I ended up being kind of good at it. I was it was like a grade out of like 30, and I think I got like 28 or something. It was a presentation based on, oh, what was it? I think it was like any historical topic you could pick, and I happen to like history quite a bit, and I was like, cool, I'll do something that I enjoy. So I picked the history of airplanes and aviation, and I thought it was really neat. Um, so I talked about like the Wright brothers and how they created the first airplane, and um, airplanes and wars and all that. And I was super like passionate about it. And I remember there was this girl in the class, and I was like really nervous. Like, of course, like I've talked about this a little bit, but I struggle with social anxiety. And I was sweating buckets, man, before it was my turn to present. And this girl came up to me, and she noticed that I was kind of struggling a little bit, and she gave me a quarter, and she said, "Hey, I hope you're feeling all right. You can have my lucky quarter. I think you'll do fine." And that was so sweet. I didn't even know her name, and she just came up and did that. That was like awesome. So and I never got to thank her for it, unfortunately. So after that day, I never saw her again. Um, but that really stuck with me because it was just so nice of her to do. Um, and like I mentioned earlier, receiving compliments is just a hard thing to do for a lot of people, and I fall in the same boat. I mean, whatever, self-esteem, it's a bitch. But when I ended up doing that presentation, I ended up feeling a lot better, and you know, and believe it or not, and much to my surprise, I ended up doing really well. I talked about a lot of interesting stuff, and I I injected a lot of humor in. Whoa! I injected a lot of humor into it, um, which is kind of like my trademark thing to do. I quite the silly person, but and I actually, what was funny is that me inserted humor into my presentation in a little bit of zaniness actually docked me points because I remember when I said how fast a plane goes in the air. I think they go like 40,000 miles an hour or something. Around that, I think. But I ended up saying they go a zillion miles an hour. Isn't that so cool? And I got docked points because I was supposed to say factual information, but I um, ended up not doing that. So I think I got like a 27 out of 30 or something. Um, but I got a note on the paper that was graded. The teacher who was grading me, she said that I was a really good public speaker and I did a great job. And that was so fucking awesome to hear. I mean, because I've never thought of myself as a good speaker. I mean, sure, I had time to prepare a little bit with like flashcards. I didn't use those in the presentation, but so a lot of things was like on memory. But man, just hearing that I could potentially be a good speaker was just so awesome. Like I and I kind of hold stuff like that to heart. I mean, because it just means a lot. I mean, and it goes a long way. Just like that girl who gave me that quarter, um, sticks with me, and it ended up, I did a good job, and I haven't replicated it yet, but I soon wish to. However, I may. Maybe I'm doing it right now. I don't know. I'm kind of public speaking, and I think I'm doing better than yesterday. I think anyway. I don't know. But that doesn't really matter. Talking about school and stuff kind of made me realize how much I missed it because the only reason I would ever miss school is because just the social aspect because school really does do a lot for a kid's social life. Like, brings people together. It, gives you friends. Um, and I haven't actually gone to a public school for 2 years now. Um, and so a lot of my online school has just been me sitting at home, doing my work. And, after a few days, that gets pretty lonely. And so after a few years, you can imagine how I feel. But, and so not having, like, people to sit with at lunch um, or just kind of interact with, it's kind of hard. And when I end up going to school, like to turn in my physical work, which I do get sometimes, sometimes there's people in that building, like other kids my age, but everyone is just. This is no fault of anybody, but a lot of people are, introverts, and they don't like talking, which is completely understandable. Like I get it. But I really don't think there's any harm in socializing. And now I definitely should follow my own advice and reach out to people and if I see someone sitting on the other side of class, maybe I should go talk to them. Um, because just like that girl who gave me that quarter, you never know how much a little interaction like that could help somebody. Um, and and I think and it kind of creates a positive feedback loop and helps everybody out in the long run. I don't know. I guess the point is like I'm lonely, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Of course, I want it to change. I don't like being alone. In fact, I'm quite the social person, but I don't get many chances to be that way. Um, but I think, and I said this earlier, but being complacent, but in a healthy way, is pretty good. Now, of course, I think the loneliness I do experience is quite unhealthy. And I do wish to change that, and I am, I go to therapy, whatever. Um, but I think, change. First of all, change is so hard to do. I mean, it takes a lot of time and discipline, and you know, a lot of people go like, okay, I'm gonna change this all of a sudden, just in one day. It's gonna happen. Like, no, it's not. Like, it's like as cool as it sounds. It's you gotta take it slow, Um, and so with like my social anxiety, I always thinking, oh, whoa, people are looking at me. Oh, I can't go outside. I'm gonna get judged, and it's like really scary. And like, yeah, it is scary, but like, I gotta realize that those thoughts are, well, only that, just thoughts. And a lot of them aren't true. In fact, like 98% of them are not true. Like, I would never judge someone based off their appearance, and even if I did, I would keep it to myself. And I have a hard time just realizing that people are not assholes. I mean, of course, some people are, but I over exaggerate just the harshness of people in the world, which is a real shame because I don't like feeling this way, but whatever. I've kind of learned to live with it, as sad as it is to say, but um, loneliness is a thing I deal with quite a bit, but it gets easier as time goes on. I mean, first of all, for my family, my mom's side of the family, my brother is incredibly supportive of me, and I cannot thank them enough. I mean, I love them to death, and they help me a lot with my anxieties and worries and all that, and that's why I express the importance of being with your family, and if you have supportive family members, then you gotta spend time with them, man. Um, but having social anxiety in this day and age, I feel like is a lot worse than say like 50 years ago. I mean, of course, I wasn't alive 50 years ago, so I don't really know, but like just there's just something different about nowadays. And even old people express that, like, oh, things are different, times have changed, you youngins are soft, whatever. So things have changed, but I guess not everyone knows how. I don't really know how either. I don't pay attention to the economy or whatever the hell is going on because I don't really care. um, but I guess being in the modern world kind of is it's kind of, I don't know, it's a blessing and a curse because I feel like loneliness and anxiety is only going to increase, um, and that sucks. That sucks a lot, man. Because like knowing how anxiety feels like intense anxiety, like I've had quite a few panic attacks, and anxiety attacks in my life, and like I would never wish that on somebody else, even if I hated their guts. um, but I feel like as it becomes more prevalent in society, I feel like there are things we can do to counter it, and one of them would be you know kindness and forgiveness. I think forgiving people is one of the best things you could ever do. Um, it takes a lot of maturity and things like that, and being kind to others is kind of, I wouldn't say fading, because you read in the news and headlines like, oh, gotta kill someone over a misunderstanding, and that you end up going home and be like, oh, what a shitty world we live in. But that's really just one example of like, there's like 8 billion people in the world. Not everyone is gonna be a dick, and a lot of the media focuses on the bad, which is bad. I don't think it doesn't do wonders for our mental health. And I know I talked about like being complacent with yourself to a certain degree, but I don't think that mentality of thinking everything is okay should be carried on into the real world, because the world, man, there are some real problems in the world, and I feel like, just these new generations, they're gonna have to solve them and somehow, because we all know the old generation isn't doing shit. So, that's just my opinion. Um, I'm not gonna get into politics because fuck that. But there's just a lot of stuff wrong with the world, and I don't think. First of all, I don't think you should go into it with apathy, because that that's only gonna make things worse, and that's just gonna. It's just a cycle to. It just creates a bad negative cycle. Um, and I know people say like, "Oh, you have to have hope," but like, really, the only thing we can do, like at an individual level, is just believe that things are going to get better. That things will change. Not necessarily be like, okay, that doesn't mean that means I don't have to do anything. Hooray! No, that means support the things you believe in, but that means do it. You have to be passionate about it. If you don't have anything to believe in, then that kind of just makes you no one. If you don't speak passionately on the things you like in the world, then that kind of just makes you, I don't know, an NPC. That feels like a weird term to use, but I mean, yeah, it's just like, and I feel like we're seeing more and more of that now. Like, there's a lot of, it feels mean to say, but there's a lot of nobodies in the world with no opinions, or fearing, upsetting people, and they just don't speak on the things that they like and what they're passionate about, and a lot of it is just like, I guess a good example would be me doing this little series or whatever, because I used to be so, like secluded and, introverted, or maybe not introverted. I've always kind of been outspoken, but I guess just scared to be myself. Um, and doing this is, made me realize that I shouldn't be afraid, because the other path is just complete loneliness and being secluded, which isn't fun. It really isn't. And I know I said this last time, but if there's something you want to do and there's something you're passionate about, like I am passionate about Pokemon. I like speaking. I like interacting with other people. If you want to do stuff like that, or do whatever you want to do, then you gotta do it, because you don't have all the time in the world to do it. Because I've realized that, and now's the best time to, read that book you've been wanting to read, or start that YouTube channel. I don't know. And if you don't think anyone believes in you, if you think no one will care, don't think that way, because you know what? I care. I will care, because that's just so awesome to see people, speaking what they like, and just seeing like the passion in their voice, and you can see a lot of effort went into whatever they made, and it's just incredible, man. I don't want anyone to be afraid of being yourself, and I was for a long time, and I still kind of am, especially out in the real world. But we're all in this together, man. We're all just trying to make it to the next day, for better, for worse, and we just gotta support each other, and I mean that, be nice to each other, and just because, as cliche as it is, kindness makes the world go around. Makes people feel good, and I'm sure as hell gonna be kind to everyone I meet, so I hope you do the same. Alright, you know what? I think I'm gonna end it right here. I think I did a pretty good job today. Made it to Rustboro, evolved my Silcoon. I don't know why I caught Silcoon or Wurmple. No, I like Beautifly, but you know, so yeah, I'll see you guys later, or I'll see you later, because there's probably not many people watching, but who cares? You know, who cares? So yeah, I'll see you later. Goodbye. Love ya.